afterward. And Paul Watson of Sea Shepherd has the forward, has the introduction, and it's a fascinating collection. And so I just want to talk a little bit about that, and then some of the things that animated this incredible, remarkable Canadian activist and politician in an indirect way. So you can say stories of Greenpeace co-founder Robert Hunter could fill a book. Well, now, happily, they do. And mind bomb is a pre-internet term for something going viral. And Robert Hunter, as a journalist, wanted an idea around saving the planet that could go viral in the pre-internet era. How you can get an idea like Greenpeace into people's minds around the world. This volume really is a story quilt with colorful swatches from Robert Hunter's remarkable life. And it's lovingly collected, artfully arranged, and skillfully woven together by his second spouse and cosmic co-conspirator, Bobby Hunter. It also includes a wonderful reflection from his daughter, Emily Hunter, herself an activist and documentary filmmaker who just completed her Master's of Environmental Studies at York University this month. Framed by Canadian environmental paladins, Paul Watson of Sea Shepherd and the Honorable Elizabeth May of the Green Party, these vibrant vignettes from friends, family, and colleagues reveal an expansive soul who was of and for the earth, and as a result, deeply at home wherever the earth found him. And the earth did find him. A high school dropout from a broken home in rural Manitoba, with a derelict dad and an overworked mom, Bob Hunter became a Governor General award-winning author with more than 14 books to his credit, a pre-internet mind-bombing media Einstein, and co-founder of Greenpeace, one of the largest and most effective environmental organizations in the world. As Bobby Hunter said in putting together this book, I wanted it to show that anybody can do something amazing, including my husband, who had all of these strikes against him. But Bob's amazing time on this planet was also filled, as these rich stories reveal, with humor, love, joy, and wild adventures, and relationships with fellow humans, as well as flowers, whales, and rainbows. I first found Bob not in person, but on television. While visiting family in Toronto in the late 1980s, I recall turning the TV dial one morning and seeing a middle-aged hippie with a housecoat and ponytail sitting in what looked like his kitchen. With a stentorian voice and calm conversational manner, he carefully went through highlighted sections from Toronto's three major newspapers, The Sun, The Star, and The Globe, showing how each paper's bias shaped their stories about the environment and other key issues. This guy is way cool, I thought, and sharp. What I didn't know was Bob was giving me a lesson in media studies. Years later, I met Bob via television as a guest on his whimsically named city TV program, Hunter's Gatherings. Some of you might remember this. Bob had invited me to talk about religion and ecology, an intersection I was exploring as a newly minted professor at U of T. What impressed me about Bob was not only his kindness, but also his insight into the deeper sacral dimension of all reality. Though at this point he was an eco-hero, like an eco-icon, he treated me as an equal, an experience shared by many in this volume, and welcomed me to the TV set with warmth, humor, and gentle hospitality. After the taping, he told me about how he had established, back in Vancouver in the early 70s, the Whole Earth Church, where the only criterion for membership seemed to be a love for and sense of kinship with the planet. I later learned through Bobby, his wife, that this church had quite a following, and Bob, as church leader, performed multiple outdoor marriage ceremonies in which the couple in the center of a gathered circle of guests exchanged expressions of love, and then everyone in attendance pointed at them saying, "A flower is your brother, zap." This final touch, no doubt, came from Bob's love of comic books. He was a big comic book reader, and this whole notion of superhero actually came into his work in Greenpeace, where, as you know, he would put his zodiac and his body in front of harpoons that were being shot at whales. As these stories reveal, there was power in that zap, and people reported feeling energized and enlivened by such moments. Though marked by intrepid eco-showdowns, tactical acumen, and brilliant writing, Bob's story is as much about spiritual connection as environmental activism. And this is one thing that Bobby asked me to reflect on when I wrote for the book. In my later conversations with Bob Hunter, we spoke about Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who lived from 1881 to 1955. He was a Jesuit scientist, a paleontologist of the Jesuit order of the Catholic Church, whose works, though initially banned by the Church, later became celebrated for showing how the divine spirit was at work in the unfolding of the cosmos, indeed in evolution. These ideas were picked up and advanced by cultural historian and geologian, not theologian, Thomas Berry, who wrote the book The Dream of the Earth in 1988. Tom Berry was a personal mentor of mine and of many others, and his work is now at Harvard University in their archives, helping nourish other people as they think about the relationship of the human to the more than human world. Tom wrote that the universe is a communion of subjects, not a collection of objects. And he talked about this in contrast to a consumer society, where the constant use of resources and discarding of those resources was leading not only to the trashing of the planet, but to a diminishment of our spirits. In other words, Tom Berry was saying all reality has a psychic and a spiritual dimension. Bob Hunter, I sense, intuited this, and his life was guided by it. Bob was raised a Roman Catholic, and his early years entailed the sacramental, spiritual cosmology and social justice teachings of that tradition, giving rise within him to what would later be called a love of the earth and a love of the poor. This sense of social justice, compassion, and love for the earth is what animated him in his quest for Greenpeace, a world of peace, nonviolence, and love of the planet. Like Thomas Berry, Bob had a deep sense of awe and reverence for the mystery and beauty of the natural world. As he wrote during one of his Greenpeace actions, quote, "This protest is somehow connected with the nerve center of what is thought of as religion, the emotion we know as awe. From awe, one moves to reverence. The feeling of awe fills the boat. It fills our heads." End quote. So for Bob Hunter, this sense of awe at the beauty and wonder and mystery of nature was the beginning of his environmental activism. I often, with my students, invite them to do an exercise, and I imagine them to place themselves on a soft summer's night on a blanket alone on the Bruce Peninsula, looking above the stars. It's a still evening, crystal clear, with no light pollution, and they see so many stars that the Milky Way is visible. I ask them about their thoughts and feelings as they look at that. That sense of awe at our place within this wondrous creation becomes the entry point of Robert Hunter in creating one of the most intrepid and famous environmental movements in the world. What is the place of awe in your own life? I ask my students. And how does that relate to what you are doing with this time on the planet. Whether diving into frigid waters off a Greenpeace vessel to catch a rainbow where it met the sea, or lying in his backyard with daughter Emily, asking her to reflect on the wisdom of trees, Bob Hunter had a deeply felt, innate, and joyful sense of the inscrutable wonder of the world. As Emily notes, he never felt alone or afraid in the wild. Rather, he felt at home there, protected. If, as celebrated American naturalist Henry David Thoreau declared, in wildness is the preservation of the world, for Bob Hunter, in wildness was the preservation of his home and his being. A pulsating motif in Bob's spiritual connection with nature is love. As the fascinating stories in this volume reveal, Bob had the rare ability to be present to any given moment. Many of you remember media sage Marshall McLuhan, who taught at the University of Toronto, also at St. Michael's College, where I studied. He's a fellow Canadian who influenced Bob's thought. McLuhan reputedly once observed that an artist is able to be fully present to any given moment. Bob, I think, was such an artist. I think he was able to be present to his moment in time, to a moment in 1970 when nuclear tests were being done in the Aleutian Atoll, the area of Amchitka. And he, as a journalist with the Vancouver Sun, went aboard this vessel of ruffians, of hippie activists, to stop the nuclear test. That was the beginning of Greenpeace. He moved at that moment from objective journalist to full-on activist. And through his missives, his broadcasts, his news releases, through that journey, when that ship returned to Vancouver, a moment of a mind bomb had occurred, and Greenpeace was born. But Bob had a second moment. He still retained his job as a journalist with the Vancouver Sun, though he had become deeply involved in this new group called Greenpeace. And he went over to the Vancouver Aquarium because a young marine biologist, psychologist named Paul Spong had said that this captive orca whale is telling him that it has to be released. And so Bob went to talk to him and said, "How do you know that?" And he said, "Well, this orca is very bright and has answered these questions properly by hitting the right panel consistently. Now it's consistently answering negative answers. Do you want to meet this orca?" And Bob said, "Yes." So Bob went over to the edge of the aquarium pool, and this orca comes out and spreads its vast jaws. And something says to Bob Hunter, "I have to put my head inside the jaws of this whale." And as he did so, he felt the teeth of the orca clutch at the back of his neck. And he said, "I had a fear I never experienced in my life. This orca could snap my neck like a wine glass." But slowly, the orca released its grip, and Bob heard the orca say to him, "Save us." He was deeply shaken by this event, but he went back to the Greenpeace community and said, "We have to shift our focus to saving whales." And they're, "What are you talking about? We're here to stop nuclear testing." He said, "No, we have to stop the killing of whales." It was a diagnostic moment, kind of when we're told that if we don't change our diet, our health prognosis is not good for our heart or our liver. This was a diagnostic moment for Bob Hunter. Bob Hunter had the ability to listen not only to other persons, but to other species. And in so doing, helped to create Greenpeace. And through its actions, the banning of whale hunting internationally. This was an amazing accomplishment as a result of this shift. I think there's something here for all of us to think about, and I share this with my students. What voices do we listen to? What moments can be catalysts for change in our own lives? I don't have to tell you about our environmental moment. You see the headlines as well as I. You see the wildfires that have been unprecedented in our country. You see the heat extremes, the weather extremes, and you probably heard about the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report that came out not too long ago, showing how desperately we need to change our behavior on this planet. The earth is crying out to us. Are we going to listen? What kind of direct action might we need to be taking, personally, professionally, in the whole scope of our lives? These are some of the questions Bob Hunter leaves me. And for that, I'm deeply grateful. And I'm deeply grateful for having spent this time with you, and send you all positive wishes in all your good work and all your positive creative service in our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sharp. Is there any questions or comments?
I was just saying it's a pity that he wasn't there in person with a supply of the books. It would have been an interesting book to.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, they can be ordered through Rocky Mountain Books. If you just Google it, you'll see how you can order them. And some of the bookstores here, the independent ones, would be happy to provide them, including the one downtown. It's the bookstore on Bay Street. Anyway, there's a number of local bookstores that do have this book available in Toronto.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? No? Nan, can you come and thank our speaker? Dr. Sharper.
I want to thank you so much for that informative talk and the insights that you gave us into Bob Hunter. Obviously, we've all heard of Greenpeace, but none of us, I think, at least I, didn't have the insight into Bob that I now have. What an amazing man you've made him to be for me. I certainly am looking for his book. I'm sure a lot of us will be. But I want to thank you not only for the informative talk, but I also want to thank you for all of the efforts you've put in to protect our environment. An example being the book Toward a Compassionate Ecology, how we're being called to develop a loving relationship with the natural world in light of our current ecological challenges. So important. And your relationship between a religious faith and the environment reminds me of a group which you probably know called Arosha, which applies the appreciation of nature and protection of it as protecting what God has created. I'm so impressed with all of the years you have dedicated to our environment and faith. I always believe that with faith, all things are possible, and you and Bob seem to be proving that. Thank you so much for spending your time with us.
Thank you, Don. That's a most gracious reflection. I so appreciate that. And just a footnote, I worked with a postdoctoral fellow who worked with Arosha in Africa, and they were doing amazing work on ecological restoration from their faith perspective. So I so appreciate that. Well, great. Well, wonderful to be with you all. Thank you so much. Thanks, Dawn, and hope you have a great rest of your meeting. Okay. Bye now. Peace. Bye now.
Okay, that was so interesting. We've had a lot of interesting environmental speakers lately, haven't we? Yeah. All right, moving on to president's announcements. I don't have too many announcements, but I did get an SOS call this morning from Neelam, who wonders if anybody's going to the butterfly tour. We've been talking about it, but it is tomorrow. At 5:30, meeting starts at 6 o'clock, and it's at the Grand Lux Event Boutique, which is 3125 Bayview. So it's just south of Finch, north of Bayview Village, right? So I'm going to put this in the highlight announcements today, but if anybody wants to go, they still have lots of seats available, and so they're encouraging everybody to come. So that's tomorrow, the 21st. And then I think the next big event is the Foundation Walk, which is on the 15th, Sunday the 15th. And it's in Markham this year. We can arrange some car rides if anybody wants to go. Again, raising money for the foundation. Rotary International Foundation helps all our fund all our international events, because they get most of the money. So we really have to show up. I think last year it was just David and Sarah and I. So I think we can, and our dogs. I think we can do better than that this year. So let's, I'm going to put that in the highlights announcements too. And you can go online and get funds. You can get your friends and family to sponsor you. I think I got $50 out of most of my friends. It's not a lot of money, but it adds up. Okay, now we're going to move. We're not going to have an international update today, so we're going to move to talk about our own fundraising and do some brainstorming. And Anna and I have been working on this. She's managed to get 2 local restaurants to sponsor us. What's the one? Sereno's is down the street. Sorrow, yeah. And the CAG at Yonge and Eglinton. So we're going after this meeting to pick up gift certificates. We're hoping it's dinner for 2 so that we can auction those off at our thing on October 26th. She's also put paper on the tables. And what we'd like people to do, if you pass it around, if you can put down an idea of who you think might sponsor us, either a business or, we already have 2 or 3 restaurants, so we're not really looking for restaurants so much anymore. But maybe anybody with sports equipment or hardware store or, anything. I'm going to put in a thing. Does anybody collect these blue air mile things that I think I've been collecting them most of my life, and they don't add up to very much. Anyway, I cashed in some, and for like 1,600 points, I got this Fitbit that I'm donating to the auction. So it didn't cost me anything if you just use these air miles. I'm going to put the link in the highlights today, so you can possibly go there. There's golfing equipment, there's travel, there's luggage, there's coffee pot makers, whatever, all kinds of things. I think Dyson vacuums has a whole section. You can go there and have a look, and you can buy something and it really doesn't cost you any money. Also Aeroplan too has gifts that you can buy from them as well. So if anybody wants to do that, things you can donate to the silent auction, and then we can raise some money that way. I'm not sure. Maybe David wants to give us an update on the status of where we're at. And I'm not sure what you're dividing silent auction versus live auction. Maybe you could highlight that, because.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay.
So first off, let me, I haven't been around. I've been busy doing a little traveling. Yeah, so let me just first off talk to everybody about the actual event itself. Because I think we've been talking about this Monte Carlo night, and I'm not sure everyone really truly understands what it is. I know the price tag is a little pricey. It's at $150, but again, portion of that will come back with a tax deductible receipt. depending on how much the ultimate costs of the event are. But what it is, it's in this room. It's going to be a fun social evening. If you don't even gamble, you can come and have fun, because we're going to have food and drinks, and there's a roaming magician. His name is, what did she call him? Magic Elvis. He's supposed to be very entertaining. And I actually did a site visit today with them, and we organized everything out. And it's going to be a very social thing. I know everyone likes to gamble, and they go, well, I'm too intimidated to go to a gambling table. And if I go to the new casino at Woodbine, it's like very seriousness. Because it's not going to be a licensed event, the dealers are going to be more there as a friend of yours rather than someone who's just going to take your money. And so if you want to learn how to play different games like roulette or blackjack or Texas Hold'em, any of that kind of stuff, poker in general, they'll be more than happy to teach you how to play. It's a great way to do that in an evening if you are intimidated by going up to a casino and sitting at a table. Because I go to Vegas and I go, I don't really know how to play that game very well. I'm not going to step up to the table. Anyway, but if you just want to come and socialize, the chairs that you see here are going to be out, and you can meet, and it's going to be finger foods and desserts. Very casual. It's not really formal. You can wear whatever you want, but it'll be a lot of fun. So we're looking for people to buy tickets. And if you want to buy tickets, I sent an email out to everybody last week, I think, inviting you, your family, and friends for twofold. For you to be able to go and purchase a ticket, you just have to click on the link and be able to go and do that. And secondly, to forward that to your contact list to get them to come out to this event. So I encourage you, even if you're not planning on attending, to forward this to your family and friends and see if they might want to attend. Now, having said that, if you're not attending, if you'd like to make a donation in kind, you will get a tax receipt for that in full, because it's not going to be a ticket purchase. It'll be a donation to the event. And we're looking for everything and anything you want to donate in regards to dollars. The foundation will be more than happy to take your money, right, Jackie? Right. What's that?
There are some qualifications.
If it's a straight donation.
Okay, straight donation, but
right.
It's in kind. If it's in kind, if it's a piece of art, you've got to have
different things. I'm looking for dollars is what we're looking for.
Okay.
If you want to donate something to the silent auction, come speak to Stephen and myself, and we'll work with you on that. So having said all that, if there are any questions on the actual event itself, please come and see me. I'd be more than happy to share that information with you. We're actually having a fundraising committee meeting after this to talk further about this. Your ticket purchase does include some raffle tickets. And the way the evening really progresses is that when you come in, you're going to get raffle tickets. Those raffle tickets can either be put directly in a raffle bin, or you can exchange those for chips that you can go to the gaming tables and use those to gamble with. And the more chips you make back, you can then get more raffle tickets. So it increases your chances of winning some of our great raffle prizes. That's basically how it works. It's pretty simple. We look forward to everyone joining us with your family and friends. We want to talk to you about some sponsorships now, and Stephen is going to jump all over that because he's heading that up. So I'll leave that to him. But again, if you have any questions, please reach out.
All right, just briefly, just to sort of tell you where we are. We're hoping to raise by the end of the evening, when it's all over, somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000, which will go to. And the important thing this time around is that all of the funds raised for the use of this club and the charities we support. We're not splitting it with anybody else as we have done in the past. So that's something to bear in mind. So we're targeting, as I say, to end up between $30,000 and $40,000. And quite a certain amount of that will go towards the international committee, because of course much of the youth and vocational and community service committees are able to benefit from the bingo funds, which the international people can't use. The target that I've set, or that David and I've set for sponsorships is around $25,000. So far, we're exactly halfway. We've raised $12,500, and that's thanks to quite a number of members, many members, in fact, of the club who've supported us at the $1,000 level and the $500 level, which is really great. I've got a number of requests out to other people. I'm waiting to hear back from them. But if I haven't heard back within the next few days, I'll be speaking to everybody again just to sort of find out where we stand. And So that's extremely encouraging. The important thing, as David's mentioned, are ticket sales. We're up to 14 so far. This room can hold 125 people, we're told, with the layout that we've got, where we'll have tables mostly around the outside perimeters. So we've got a long way to go with ticket sales, And we would ask anybody, who hasn't bought tickets to consider doing so. And if there are any members who are unable for whatever reason to attend, we'd ask them at least to contribute the tune of $150, which is the value of a ticket, which will be a straight donation. So then they'd get 100% tax receipt on that if they're not going to be here. If they're buying a ticket and they will attend, they'll get a tax receipt as well, but that'll be an amount to be decided later on when we see what the cost has been. But it was in the order of probably 50% of the ticket cost. So that's where we are at the moment. So as David said, if any of you have any questions or would like to know more about this, that, or the other, please speak to one of the other of us. We have a fundraising meeting coming on straight after this, following on from this, and anybody who would like to attend that, we'd be very welcome. We'd be very pleased to have you attend the meeting with us. Thank you.
And one last thing I want to applaud Anna for her courageousness in getting on top of the soliciting of the gift certificate. She did a fine job on so far anyway. But great, as a new member of 2 weeks, she's really stepped up to the plate, which is great.
Okay, so has anybody got any other brilliant suggestions on ideas for fundraising? Other than a lemonade stand on the corner? No? Okay. David, can I ask you to come and honor another?
Oh, yes. Thank you. So as the presidency last year for myself, we nominated different individuals for recognition for their efforts towards Rotary and Rotary International. And one of those people that we did nominate and actually gave a Paul Harris pin to was unable to be with us at that point in time, but she's in the room today. So I wanted to recognize Ganizi and actually give her pin today because I've had it for a very long time and I wanted to make sure I got it to you. So on behalf of the club, for all your efforts between our club in Turkey and ourselves and the sisterhood that you've created between us all, thank you again for all your efforts.
Thank you so much. It's my honor.
There you go.
And I'm accepting this as being a part of a team, great team. Whatever I did, I wasn't alone. Thank you to all of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was it presented in the Viola Club as well? Or did they recognize you with the Viola Club?
Yes, they did. They know it already. Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
we spoke, so they
Yeah,
knew.
thank
They just
you.
didn't have the pin. I had the pin. Sure.
Okay.
That's
Maybe with
An easy in the middle, yeah.
sign in the back?
yeah. No,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, good. Oh,
Okay, a little closer. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Great, thank you.
Thank you
Okay,
so much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so I think that's our meeting for today. Again, we finished early. Oh, right. So we put cards on your table there and you could take them with you. And we also have 8.5 by 11. But if you need more, take more and pass them out. Like again, family and friends and contacts. And on the back, we have a list of all the charities that we support locally and internationally. So, we need to get all this information out there so people see what a great charity we are, really. Basically, that's what we're raising the funds for. Did you have something to say? Oh, okay. So take as many as you need or you think you can give out to other people. We have about 100 of them. So, let's get the word out. We got, 5 more weeks to go, Stephen?
5 weeks tomorrow.
Okay. So let's see what we can do. Our next meeting is next Wednesday will be at the Duke of Kent. So 5 till 7. Right.
And just so everybody knows, on these cards and on the sheets of paper, the QR code directly takes you directly to the registration site so they can purchase their tickets.
Right, so we're great. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And now for the international or the meeting. Is anybody on Zoom that's gonna stay for the fundraising committee meeting?
These ones? Dawn may have.
Yes, I think they're at the front desk.
Front desk.
I'll leave them with the reception downstairs.
Yes, do that.
If there's any questions, they can say, let's go to the QR code.
And that's probably a better size for them, 2A instead of this size, yeah, okay. All right. Okay.
Fundraising committee.
Yeah.